Hi, it's your astrologer from Bella DeVera official.wordpress.com and the Bella DeVera Foundation. And I wanted to make a video about this topic that I saw on YouTube. Um, so I titled my video, Is There a Second Spiritual Awakening? So the topic is about um, whenever you are around another person and you're living, this topic on YouTube somewhere was about living in a narcissistic bubble. Whenever someone else is having feelings and you're around them and you don't react to them, this these videos were about something that I don't agree with. It I saw it the other day. It pissed me off so much, and so I gathered my thoughts enough to make a video about it in a not so pissed off mood, because it's a really important subject, I think. So obviously I don't agree with that there's a second spiritual awakening. I think there's only one. I think the fact that you own yourself, the other person owns themselves, you don't need to be hurt about what they're doing, and they don't need to be hurt about what you're doing, and you don't need to respond to them when they're being an asshole. And I'm not saying you should call them an asshole, because that's verbal abuse, obviously. But I'm just saying it's an asshole way to live, to be verbally or whatever else abusive. But you don't need to respond to it. You can have feelings about it. It can make you react inside a certain way, but you don't need to give them a reaction. You don't need to be a part of their stuff. You own your own stuff. So, this narcissistic bubble, seeing the other person trying to be saved by you, is what's happening. They're like saying, "Oh, I'm having a bad day, and pay attention to me," without saying paying attention to me, maybe. Living in the narcissistic bubble, what was in the other video, is when you don't react to that. You don't have feelings on that level for them. You can respond in a non-reactive kind of way, like, I'm not doing this with you kind of way, like, your stuff is your own, my stuff is my own kind of way. you know like, you're cut off from the world, is that narcissistic bubble of like, not being a part of, people's stuff. That video pissed me off so much, I about mouthed off to the person, literally, like, on their YouTube channel. I felt like it. I'm not going to, or anywhere else, but I feel like it, because they teach about chakras and the fact that, like, an energy vampire, there's no such thing, because you can't take someone else's energy, but they teach about the fact that that is just simply like a hurt person that doesn't know what to do with their hurt. There's nothing wrong with being hurt. And I agree with them that it's not like a label to have. It's not a label to put on people. It's simply a hurt person that, whatever, doesn't know what to do about life. That's perfectly fine to be hurt. It's like what we all are. But so the topic of living in a narcissistic bubble, the other person's reacting to their own hurt. This person that makes this video talks about a bunch of stuff that I talk about. What pissed me off is that it's contradicting the other videos that that person makes. That's what pissed me off. If you don't contradict yourself, then I personally will not get pissed off. You can have your own points of views and different opinions from me, But if you contradict yourself, I'm going to get pissed off. That contradicting yourself, and I'm not saying that I can't do that. It's just whenever you're making professional videos for the public, like I do, or like that person does, or whoever else, whatever topic you're doing this about, I don't make it a practice to contradict myself on purpose. If I accidentally do somehow, I make sure I clear it up and know what I'm talking about, figure out what I'm thinking and talking about, so I can get on the same page with myself, about whatever I'm teaching about, and so I don't contradict myself. That, to me, if you're not trying to contradict yourself and you're confused or hurt or whatever, that's one thing. But just to simply make a video and then another video that contradicts each other, it's like, why? That's not cool. So this narcissistic bubble doesn't exist. There's only one spiritual awakening. The second spiritual awakening was after you do the narcissistic bubble thing, I'm not going to react to you thing. That's when you can react to the person, and be on the level that they're on with their own feelings, and you be a part of their feelings, and you kind of like, save them, which is what that person teaches against. Like, flat out says, do not save people, which I say too. But I'm not going to make a video about that you should save people then. Whenever you have that second spiritual awakening that I don't believe exists, it's being a part of the other person's stuff where you can react to them. I don't mean have feelings if they're being verbally abusive. You're supposed to have feelings, but you don't need to give them a reaction as if they don't have a root of what is going on. They have roots because of, or about what they're doing. Like, if I'm talking to some girl and she's being verbally abusive to me, there's a root to it. So you don't need to react to it as if there's no root to it, as if it's just about you in the present moment, which it can be sometimes, but usually it's not. Usually there's a root. From the first time it happened, from probably a parent or someone in the family, life starts to happen when you're a child, not when you're an adult. So that's when hurt happens. So living in this narcissistic bubble is not a thing, because you don't need to react to the person. You don't need to own their own stuff for them. It's their responsibility. Healers are not here to save people. We're here to help people figure out how to heal themselves. And like I made in my other video, the stigma of being a healer. You should watch that video because it's such an important topic. It explains the stigma of what people think a healer is. It's not someone that's going to save people or change people. It's someone that can accept everything about another and give them unconditional love, but you let them live their life, which that person teaches that made this video that pissed me off. It's such a contradictory video, and some people said such things. I have to fix this. I don't like holding it like that. Sorry. So, there's no such thing as a narcissistic bubble when you're doing this, living this way. Like, whenever you're having a spiritual awakening, and then you you learn about spiritual stuff, and then you decide, okay, so the other person living their own life, they're responding about their own life, so you let them have their own stuff, but it's it's such a deep subject to me that it just really pisses me off. It's like there's no such thing as a second spiritual awakening. You don't do the narcissistic bubble thing and then wake up and then save people. Saving people is not spiritual. It's against spiritual. Being spiritual. Being spiritual is about unconditional love and being a whole person. Unconditional love is when you accept someone, all of them, not the good and not the maybe okay stuff. It's you accept everything about them. This stuff people have labeled bad and whatever else. So this narcissistic bubble, it's not narcissism. Whenever I see someone else hurt, this just happened to me on Twitter in the last few days. Again, I happen to be around some people that are hurt because hello, everyone on this planet is hurt, but they wanted attention, so they were being passive aggressive about what their day was like. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to play that game with you. Get over it or don't get over it. Heal it then. Either bury it or heal it or don't, whatever. You know, it isn't my responsibility. That's yours. You deal with your stuff, not me. And I used to be that. Healers are only healers because they've been extremely hurt and know how to heal themselves. If there's any healers on this planet, they're not hurt. They're only healers because they've been hurt as much as everyone else on this planet, which means everyone on this planet might be able to be a healer. So anyway, people that are spiritually awakened don't have a second spiritual awakening about getting rid of the narcissistic bubble. There's no such thing. It's not a narcissistic anything. It's not any kind of a bubble. It's I see you hurt. I see that person hurt, and I'm still hurt, and I'm still trying to figure out my life. And there's some things that I literally I'm not even healing about. And I mean, spiritual people do that, you know. And I hate even calling myself a spiritual person because my sun sign and stuff in my birth chart, my astrology birth chart, which, by the way, if you don't know, I'm a professional astrologer, so if you want to know more about that, you can ask me. But anyway, I hate labels. That's my sun sign. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is rebellion. I despise labels. I don't try to do it to other people, and I don't do it to myself either. And if you do that to me, it pisses me off. So I don't like calling people spiritual people or anything else because we all can learn how to be whole. That's what spiritual means. So it's not this narcissistic bubble. I completely see that you're hurt, but it's your responsibility. Spiritual teachers teach against saving people, especially that person that made the video that pissed me off. Like I said, they flat out say do not try to save people because it makes them feel unaccepted and like you're not giving them unconditional love, because that is true. That is what's happening if you try to save someone. So I teach against saving people too, but we've all, as children growing up into adults, been in that save me mentality. Any healer on this planet has been hurt so much that they were in that save me mentality as a child. And then they figured out how not to be. That's just all there is to that. So there's no second awakening. It involves caring about people and giving them unconditional love and noticing that they're hurt. But and not reacting to them too. The first one, first spiritual awakening. There's only one, and it involves all of that. But the second one that that person was talking about was the let's go back to before we were spiritually awakened and save each other thing. That's what the second spiritual awakening was to that other person. If you watch the video, which I'm trying not to have a asshole mouth about and say who it is, but it pisses me off so much that I feel like it. I'm not into trying to be perfect about the subject of calling people out, and I have, but I'm trying not to, just because I don't want to be in that hate that person campaign group, because I'm not in it, and I don't ever want to be in that kind of group for anyone, because I have better things to do with my life. But it pisses me off though. So I don't think it's right to put me in that group when label me that whenever if I would happen to be imperfect and call someone out on something. But the narcissistic bubble doesn't exist. No one in the spiritual field is unaware of people being hurt. That's what being spiritually awakened is about. You see and feel everything. You notice everything if you're spiritually awakened, especially if you have psychic abilities, which I'm not sure who all does or doesn't in the spiritual field, because tons of people do. That's how I happen to notice everything. I'm like 1000% clairsentience. Like, there's nothing that I don't notice, ever. I notice vibes and feelings and everything else. And, uh, um, physical, body language kind of things. I notice everything that a person can do. I notice because I'm clairsentient, and it's like a huge part of my life. It's like the biggest part of my life that there is, and I can't get away from it. And it bugs the crap out of me sometimes. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't as much because I get that we're all the same now. But I'm not unaware of that other person, like on social media this past week. This girl, she was passive aggressive about her weekend, and I was like, yeah, we all have those days. And I didn't say anything kind of I'll save you kind of a thing. I just simply said, you know, she was like, how was your day? In the tweet, not to me, but just in a general tweet about her day and everyone else's day. So I said how my day was a little bit. And then I went on with my day, and then pretty sure I got spammed a little bit about that, but it wasn't much. That's what people do. They're like, save me, and then um, you know, on social media or something with like um, that hurt of a person sometimes, not all the time, depends on the person. They spam people's accounts and say, well, that was nasty of you to save me. Thinking, yeah, I completely see what you mean there. So I'm sure we all know what I'm talking about. But that saving mentality, that's the second awakening that spiritual teacher was talking about. That's not okay. He teaches against it, and so let's teach against it. Saving people makes them feel unaccepted and unloved. It makes them feel like they're not getting unconditional love. Unconditional love is when you accept all of the person. More than that, but saving them means that they're gonna feel unaccepted. So I'm not gonna say that girl that wanted attention on Twitter is gonna feel unaccepted by me then. Hello. This is not my opinion. This is another spiritual teacher's opinion. We all say it. Saving people makes them feel unloved and unaccepted. It's not okay to do that. If you're trying to reach out to someone who they said help me or something, that's different. Being a friend with you is different. It involves unconditional love, where you accept all of the things and you don't try to the narcissistic bubble doesn't exist because any spiritual person is not unaware of people being hurt. If you're not spiritually awakened, then you can do the narcissistic bubble thing where you don't see that people are hurt. Anyone spiritually awakened can't not notice people being hurt. It's not possible. That is what it is. Being unawakened is that narcissistic bubble. I'm not actually trying to call anyone that. I'm referring to that label that she gave because that is what pissed me off. Part of what pissed me off. So here's the thing. I hope I have explained the topic enough that you get what I'm talking about. But if I haven't, leave comments or comment or whatever, and I can make another video about it. Because that's what part of my foundation is about. Interaction with people. Make some videos for you if you have questions or whatever. But and it's an astrology foundation too. A lot of it. So anyway, but the thing is that um I'll try not to explain myself much now. That there is a you know, what I was saying is no, I do this sometimes in my own because I know I'm watching. But I remember I'll make another video because it's important to know about all of this. Yeah, sorry. I got to explain another stuff and but this, oh, yes, okay. The narcissistic bubble thing. It's not narcissism to not react with the person as if you're a part of the whole save me thing. What it is when if you are reacting to the person, that's histrionic. Narcissism and histrionic are in the cluster B personality disorders. There's 4 of them. And so not reacting isn't narcissism. It's just you deciding to let the other person feel like you're accepting them. Because if you react and you're a part of the whole, give me attention thing, that's saving them, and that makes them feel unaccepted. So it's not narcissism to not react. What it is, if you're reacting, is histrionic. So there's something for you to think about. So let's not promote having histrionic if we do or don't have it. Let's try to heal it. And you're never going to get rid of yourself, so don't try, because that's not okay. It's not unconditional love. But you can try to heal aspects of yourself into higher things. Use, your personality for the good and try to make it into a higher manifestation, not get rid of it. So don't try to get rid of histrionic if you have it or anything else, but let's not promote having histrionic, because that's not cool to promote having that and then teaching against it. So yeah, the if you want to know more about psychology, look it up or ask me, because I know some information about it enough that I can make videos about it for you, about histrionic and narcissism and all that stuff. So anyway, but not reacting to the person when you're living in a narcissistic bubble, that's not a narcissistic bubble. It's when you're living in the narcissistic bubble, we're promoting not having histrionic, which is a good thing to do. We don't need to have histrionic on purpose, which maybe that person that made the video might have histrionic traits. So anyway, I will not be an asshole more than I am in this video, but it pisses me off. It's not okay to promote histrionic. That's exactly what it is. If you're gonna go against your teachings or someone else's teachings, that person's teachings, and then react to the person, that's histrionic. It's not healthy to promote having histrionic. It's an asshole thing to do. So quit calling it narcissistic bubbles if you aren't having histrionic, because that's not logical. It's extremely not logical. So anyway, just to recap this a little bit, the narcissistic bubble is her second spiritual awakening. And it's when you don't live in the first spiritual awakening anymore of let the person react the way they're reacting, and you don't need to react to their hurt feelings, There's a root to it. So you don't need to react to someone's roots. It's their own. Let them own their own, and you have your own. You don't need to mess with someone else's roots of hurts. You deal with your own. I mean, you should accept everything about a person, but don't screw with it like it's, a second spiritual awakening, because that's not cool. So anyway, that's my point of view on that. So leave comments and questions if you want. And thanks for watching. So I'll be making more videos soon.